Hi, baby boomer fans. We are Jackie and Janine, the Pfeiffer sisters, and love to talk about the 1950s, inviting you to reminisce with us as we explore experiences of that decade. Grab your favorite malt or Green River. Make sure you are wide awake and get ready to be inspired about the 1950s. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat. Hello, everybody. Hello, Jackie. Yes. And viewers, we just think it's so cool that you are watching our 1950s Fun Chats. We are very definitely thankful for subscribers and for those of you who are not, but might want to be subscribers. But the stories that are told here, not necessarily the stories that we tell, the stories that are told here just are so enlightening for remembering that decade in America that was known as the 1950s. And so, Jackie, take it away.
Okay. Viewers, please take a look at the bottom. Note www.whilethewindmillwatch.com. That is where you will go to find out more about this particular show. We call it the 1950s Fun Chat, and you'll be able to see all the previous recordings. This is number 203. So just think of all the history of the 50s that you could spend 2 or 3 days just learning some history. Also, the website will tell about the vendors where you can find our book, which just kicked off the Fun Chat. It is up in the upper right-hand or upper corner of my screen. While the Windmill watched a slice of rural America in the 1950s. So we encourage you to go there. Today, though, I want to begin by saying there is an adage: man, or in this case, woman, plans and God laughs. Well, our guest can identify with that adage. In 1961, Ernestine, known as Ernie Massey, intended to visit a gal friend for 2 weeks in Sitka, Alaska. 64 years later, Ernie still resides in Sitka. Ernie joined 2 older sisters in 1935 in Akron, Ohio. Each of the sisters was born 6 years apart. Because of the age difference, her mother claimed that she raised 3 single daughters. So due to Ernie's father's transferred job, Ernie moved to Seattle when she was 8. She was fortunate to have been exposed to a variety of lessons and activities such as ice skating, roller skating, piano, voice lessons, and drill team. So Ernie graduated from the University of Washington in Seattle with a degree in business administration. She has 2 married daughters and 4 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. Ernie and Bob Peel have been married now for 28 years. So Ernie, we welcome you to the 1950s Fun Chat. In the early 40s, Ernie, the U.S. was engaged in World War II. So we're going to preface our learning about the 50s by talking of some of the 40s. So tell us how World War II affected each member in your family.
Ooh, that's kind of difficult. Well, my oldest sister she had a job in Seattle because she was 12 years older than I was. And one of the things that I laughed about when she couldn't get nylon stockings anymore. So she would paint the stripe that was on the back of the stockings, the seam that was on with a brush, and put her stockings on that way. She didn't really have stockings on. She just had the line painted down the backs of her legs. And I thought it was funny.
Yes. Yes. We've heard of that, but I guess I've never did know of anyone to have done that. So, of course, back in that era, girdles were important to wear, to hold up, to eventually hold up nylons. Foundation garments were so different than what they are now. Do you recall that she wore something like that, even though she didn't have like actual nylon on?
I don't know. I do remember she had some kind of a thing that had where the top of the nylons fit into, when she did have nylons, fit into a little thing that was like elastic, and it fit around her waist. But she didn't do that. She didn't do that all the time. She and she
Okay.
worked downtown, so she had to take a bus every day, and so she didn't. And it was very, very difficult to get nylons back in those days.
Do you happen to recall why that would have been?
Well, I think it has something to do with the fact that the materials weren't available. There was so much going overseas, and there was so much going on. I know my mother wore a type of a girdle, but she'd had some serious surgery during that time, and that helped her be more comfortable.
So that was your older sister. How about your next sister?
Well, we didn't have a lot in common, and she was more interested in horses and boyfriends than she was in her little sister. So
I had a sister like that.
Oh, I would have liked your sister. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so she wasn't around a lot because she'd get home from school and do her homework really quickly and take the bus out to the barn where she rented a horse and she'd go riding almost every day.
Yeah.
Did you ever have an interest in horseback riding?
No, because she put me on a horse one time, and then she was not always happy to have to take me along with her. And so when my mom or my dad would say, well, take Ernestine, she might enjoy it. And I say, no, I'd rather not. No, yeah, you're going to go. So she put me on this horse named Tony. I remember that. And I remember that she got on her horse and she galloped off. And we went through my horse tried to follow her. And I didn't know that it was going to knock me off because it went underneath a tree thing, and this brush came down in my face and knocked me off.
Oh,
and I was not real happy with her or the experience. And I never rode a horse after that.
Well, now you and Janine have something in common.
yes.
Same kind of issues with horses.
Yeah.
So what about you? I know you were quite young, but can you tell us something about how the World War II might have affected you, or some sort of maybe a memory that you might have about that time?
Well, one of the things that I remember was we had a theater where we would go and see movies on Saturday, and they always played a lot of
newsreel.
Newsreels, yeah. And so I would see what was going on, not understanding it, and it kind of scared me because I wasn't very old, and it was just I don't know. And my dad was in the military. That was why we went to Seattle, and it was, he wasn't in any danger or anything, so I didn't worry about that. But I just was kind of I didn't understand it. I was too young.
Yeah.
It scared me.
Yeah. So go back a bit. Tell us why your dad was in the service of some kind.
Well,
that happened.
We lived in Akron, Ohio, when I was young, and my dad, when it got to be, he had a really good job at a big. I think it was Cyberling Rubber or one of those companies. And when he was reading all of the news, I just remember him saying, I think I need to go sign up. The country needs men. And so he was taken in, and he was taken in as an officer in the Navy, even though he had never had any experience, but they needed what his skills were. And he ended up writing a lot of the manuals for all of the changing tires and things like that that the guys didn't know how to do. So that's what he did, and he went downtown every day to his office in downtown Seattle.
Did he ever have to train any of the troops?
Yes, he did. Yes, they had classes where they had to show them how to change a tire, how to take it off of the rim and to put it back on. And he had, I would say it wasn't just tires. It was how to store things in the like Jeeps and things like that they use so much. And then a lot of these guys were shipped overseas, and they knew they didn't get stuck out in the woods someplace without being able to fix what went wrong.
Yes.
Huh. And so wait, he went in as an officer, and that was called, in the Navy, that was called what?
He was he went in as a, I'm trying to remember.
Start with B?
He went in as a chief bosun, and then he was moved up to other things above.
Okay. So it was his skills that got him that, and of course he needed to have some sort of title, so his authority would be respected, I suppose.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly it. And a lot of it I didn't know too much about because I was home, with my mom, and my sister would come home for work, and everything went on, and it was just my dad, when he was home, he was just my greatest friend, but he didn't talk a lot about his job.
Okay. Do you recall, Ernie, that at that time was there rationing, food rationing, and gas rationing?
Yes, there was, and I think there was. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that were rationed. We got tokens for stuff that you could take to the grocery store, and but I can't remember too much about it. I was too young.
Okay. Yeah. Or did you plant a victory garden?
No, but my mother always had a garden. We didn't have vegetables. She didn't ever grow vegetables. She just grew flowers.
Oh. All right. Well, that's pleasant. So you talked about going to the movies. Can you remember what a movie ticket cost?
It was 25 cents.
Oh, all right. and your parents were happy to give you that so that they could have some time to themselves?
Well, actually, not that wasn't it. Was I would go with my girlfriends that I played with, and we would go, and it was like walking distance from our house, so it was about 3 blocks or 4 blocks from our house.
And was the popcorn a dime or?
Didn't have popcorn.
Oh,
they didn't sell those things. You could take your own if you wanted to. They didn't. You couldn't take popcorn because it made a mess, but you could buy. You could bring your own candy or whatever you wanted to the movie. But they didn't have a place. Not in that. And it was called I can't remember the name. I think it was called the Orpheum Theater or something like that.
Sure. But did you
every town had one?
Yeah.
Do you remember any movies that you had seen?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I know I was introduced to Jerry Lewis. Not physically introduced to him.
Yeah.
Through movies, I was introduced to Jerry Lewis, and I thought he was pretty funny.
Sure.
So we mentioned earlier that you were active in dance and drill team and skating, and so how did all these benefit you in your life?
Well, one of the things that you asked me about when we were talking before was I belong to a group called Rainbow Girls, and it is a group that is affiliated with the Masonic Order, and women are Eastern Star. Both my parents were involved in that, and some of my friends, and that's how I got into the Rainbow Girls. And I brought some stuff with me here.
Oh, good.
That I thought, it says, "What is rainbow?" And it says, "The quest of girlhood on the journey of life." And what does rainbow teach? It's a belief in the existence of a supreme being, the great truths of the Holy Bible, to seek dignity of character, the conception of the higher things of life. It teaches effective leadership, church membership, patriotism, cooperation with eagles, love of home, and service. That's
okay.
Did you have an office in Rainbow Girls? Did you hold an office?
All the way through, yeah. From the choir clear through to worthy advisor, yeah. And then we had a drill team, and I was lucky to be. I started out in the drill team, and I was lucky to be named the captain of the drill team. And we had a competition. in Seattle. It was Seattle drill team competition, and both junior teams like we were and senior teams competed with each other. I mean, everybody competed at the same level, no matter their age. Mm-hmm. And Seattle Police had won the drill team award 5 years in a row, and we won it that last year that when we entered it. We won the Seattle drill team award.
What was it like being on the drill team? What kind of things did you have to do? What skills?
Well, we had a teacher, a man that taught the kind of drill that military do. It's military drill. It's not like fancy dance type drills that they teach in high school now. And it was military, and so we had to learn all these different movements that we worked together on. And I had 16 girls were in the drill, and I was lucky enough to be the captain of the drill team, and the captain has to shout out the next move. You know, we had it memorized, of course, but it was really wonderful to work with that many girls and have it work out where we depended on one another to make it happen. And we were pretty proud of ourselves when we got the cup for first place, and that many people. There were something, I don't remember how many teams competed, but it was over 12 or 14, something like that. The whole Seattle area.
Did you have a uniform in the drills? What was that like?
Well, we had white boots, and we had navy blue jackets, and we had hats that looked like military type hats. And let's see, I can't remember. I've got pictures of it at home, of course, but I don't have it here. But it looked like a military type of outfit, only it was.
Okay, cool.
So I can see where your experience there carried over to, jump beyond the 50s to 1969, when you and some other ladies in Sitka decided to offer something to the tourists in the way of Russian heritage. Sitka used to be the capital of Russian America, folks.
Right.
So Ernie was one of the very first founders of the new Archangel Dancers, which has been dancing now for 56 years.
59.
So
59.
1969, yeah. So, or 59, did I say 59? 69? 1969. Okay. So anyway, can you make that jump from what you were doing with drill team and in Rainbow to how that helped with the organization of the new Archangel Dancers?
Well, first of all, we there were 8 of us who started the new Archangel Dancers, and we decided to have a board of directors, and the 8 became the board of directors. We tried to get people to try out for after we got a few. Well, first of all, we didn't know any Russian dancing. Didn't know anything about it, but one of our gals who helped start the group, she wanted to do round the world dancing, and that didn't work because it was just too much to try to learn and too many different things. But anyway, so 2 of the members went to the bishop of the Russian Orthodox Church and asked if he had any knowledge of any kind of dances. And as he didn't dance and he didn't know anything about, he didn't speak much Russian, he spoke some. He had a book of children's dances, and he also had a record of the music. And one of the gals that was kind of the best dancer, I would say, in the group, Karen Grusendorf, became our dance director, and she choreographed some of that together so that we had about 4 dances when we first started the group. Yeah, but it's still going on. And in fact, I just today took money at the door for the dancers that are dancing now.
Okay.
And so anyway, that's kind of what I did.
So was there costuming involved
in the dancing?
Yeah, when you did dances?
Oh, yes.
And how did you acquire those costumes?
Well, we took pictures of costumes that we could see that were Russian costumes, and then we got our sewing machines out and
Oh, neat. Was it hard to find the fabrics or the trims that you might have needed for the costume?
Not really. It didn't have to be authentic because, we didn't think anybody in the audience was going to come up and tell us that.
However,
But we had been dancing about almost 2 years with what we had. And somebody from the audience came up and said, I want to get your name to a man in New York City who teaches this kind of dance. And so that's when Fred Klimovich came to Sitka and taught us a number of dances. Our current finale that we still use is one that he taught us, and he taught us the girls who danced as boy dancers. He taught them how to do it correctly to make it look like the way that the boys do those steps. So it works out really good.
What, Ernie, what was the purpose of you, the new Archangel dancers? Where did you dance? Why were you formed? What?
Well, first of all, there was a group of us before we ever formed the dancers. Had been in some plays that we did. I can't remember all the names we were in. There was a lady who did plays, who directed plays, okay. And so she would often pick something that had dancing in it. So we ended up choreographing steps that would work with whatever it was that she taught. Mm-hmm. And she didn't teach dancing at all. And it just kind of like Topsy, it just grew. So, it just, and then Alaska Airlines was getting into the advertising and pushing people to come to Alaska and tour. And so they started taking us wherever they were having events that was that was about what they were, whatever place that it was going to happen. Yeah, like sure. We went to Anchorage and we went to Fairbanks and we went to Juneau and we went to various different places around the state. And they paid all the money. We didn't have to pay anything. So that was wonderful.
And when they opened up their stations in Southern California, we were able to go there and promote Alaska.
Yeah, they took us to California, and it was pretty exciting.
How did you think at those particular events? How did you think your dancing or the demonstrating of dancing, Russian dancing, noted up in Sitka, had an effect on people wanting to come up to visit Sitka?
Well, I don't know, but they seemed to enjoy it. I can tell you that. They clapped a lot and they talked to us a lot, and we got a lot more. In the beginning, we feel that that stage, we had a lot more dancers than there are now, but it's hard to get young women to want to take that much time and effort when things have changed so much since those days. It's hard to get young women. They've got young children. They have babysitters. They have to take care of their home. They've got jobs. It's not an easy thing. So we don't have as many that are actually performing as we used to have. We used to have 30, 40 gals that we could choose from to do a show.
I'd like to reiterate something here too. The dancing was during part of the Cold War time. Now the dances that were done the New Archangel dancers were not promoting the Soviet Union. They were promoting different regions from the old Russia, the history, like in the 1700s, the 1800s. So it wasn't political.
No, and it isn't now. And the other thing is that it was just fun and people enjoyed it because it was, the music was great and the dancing was good and it was just something different that people hadn't had.
And with many countries, the dances told stories.
That's right.
The stories of the way of life. Right. One dance was called the bulba. Well, it was about potatoes and how potatoes grow. There's nothing political about that.
I always call that the bouncy dance because you're watching. You're in interpreting a potato getting in the ground and then
growing up a
I
little
didn't
at
like
a time.
that very much.
So Jackie, tell our audience about your involvement briefly in the New Archangel dance.
Well, I would probably rather have our guests talk.
Yes, but
I was a boy dancer. She was a girl dancer. We had a good time. We traveled a lot.
Yeah.
and there was a cohesiveness in this group of women. Oh, maybe Ernie, tell why there were no men in this dance group.
Oh, well, we asked the men in the community who we thought were active enough and had a good, could exercise and do the things that we were doing. And they said, "You got to be kidding. We aren't here in Alaska to dance. We're, we want to go hunting and fishing and that kind of thing when we have time." And so we said, and they said, "Besides, you'll never get that thing off the ground." Well, it's been 59 years now. And
yay.
So
And-
there.
now they come and ask if they could do it. We say, "No, thank you. We're just doing fine."
Nope. Thank you.
Did you always have a specific building in which you danced and gave performances?
Well, the city has a building called the Centennial Building.
Okay.
It was originally built back in the days when they were raising money for from the federal government to build buildings to be of use for community.
Okay.
And it's been recently rebuilt, but there's I'm trying to think of how many seats there are in the auditorium, but anyway, you can seat over 60, 70 people in there, and so yeah,
maybe even more than that.
yeah. Well, depending on how many they squeeze in on the sides. Where
if I was on a cruise to Sitka or to Alaska, and Sitka was one of the stops, would I automatically have the opportunity to see the New Archangel dancers dance?
No, right now we only have one show a week, and it's on Wednesdays, and then there's tour buses that come from the ships, and you can buy what kind of things that you want on board the ship before you ever get to town. And a lot of people don't want to buy ahead of time. They want to just wander around. And there's others that that have bought their ticket ahead of time, or as it's part of the tour.
Okay.
And they give them little buttons, and so we let them in the door free because they've already paid for it. But no, it's in the Centennial Building.
Okay.
And in the heyday, we would have maybe 7 or 8 shows a week. And personally, each one might do 3 or 4 because we had many people to.
That's right. We could rotate.
To rotate. So depending upon each individual schedule, and this was all scheduled ahead of time, so you knew what your show schedule was for the next week.
We sometimes had 7 or 8 shows a week, or sometimes even in one day we would have 7 shows. And I was fortunate.
I did 3 or 4. That was it.
Yeah,
that was max.
Well, I was really fortunate because I owned a hotel, and so I had employees. So when they needed me to be either announcing, which I did also, or dancing, then I could leave my employees to take care of things.
So Ernie, that's a good segue into another question I have. And you told me that you believed in working for what you wanted. You didn't take any money from your parents, you just worked. So tell me about the one time when you did ask your dad for a loan.
Oh, well,
back up and tell us what jobs you did so that you had money as a youth and then it transferred over as an adult.
Well, I got, I think it was 25. No, yeah, it was 25 cents a week for doing my own household. I had to help with the dishes and had to hang up my clothes and do all these things around the house. My mother was ill a lot of my teen years, and so I had to help out with things that I never would have done. I got up every morning and did my dad's breakfast. My sisters were both out of the house by then. But anyway, I remembered one time going to my dad and asking him for a nickel. And he said, you just got your allowance last week. Why do what do you want a nickel for? I said, well, I'm saving that. And so that's how I was able to get a little extra money, like if I didn't have quite enough to go to the movie or whatever. But when I took over the hotel, there was a person who had been operating it before, had not paid the electric bills and had owed a lot of money to the city, and I found out how much the whole thing was, and the man who'd been operating the hotel had not paid the bills, and so I went to the city administrator and I said, if you give me some time, I think I can pay this off. And he said, no, and I won't say the word that he used, but it wasn't very nice. No darn woman is ever going to be able to run this hotel. And so I said, okay. So that's when I went to my dad for real money. And my dad wrote a check for me, and I took it to the city administrator's office, and I threw it on his desk, and I said, here's this dang money from this dang woman. And
yeah, I bet he took the check, didn't he?
He took the check. Yeah, he did. And I paid my dad back in a very short time.
Yeah, good for you.
But then in the years going on, then this man came to you with his tail between his legs.
Oh, many years later.
About that.
Yeah, I was working in the Centennial Building for the Chamber of Commerce, and he came in and sat down on my spare chair in the office and apologized. He said he was really, really sorry. I found out later that he'd been diagnosed with cancer and he didn't have very long to live. So I guess he was going around and straightening out his history with the community. But he apologized prolifically about coming in and saying, he never dreamed that I would be able to handle that hotel. And not only did I handle it, but I sold it for quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Ernie, do you still have a desire? I'm going back to dancing. Do you still have a desire to dance?
I would enjoy it if I could. I tore the ligament tendons in one of my legs in an accident, and I couldn't dance now if I tried. I can walk.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I went to physical therapy for quite a while, and it's a lot better.
Did you ever feel that your body was just so tired from all the exercise you received from dancing?
No, in fact, it made you feel good. I mean, it was good for us. I think about all the gals that have been in the dancers, and I look at the pictures of when we've had reunions, and I can't even remember all the names of all the gals that were in. Several hundred have passed through the dancers.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. But kind of as a tag onto your question, Janine, when dancers reached age 50, they had a mandatory retirement. And we had a retirement party. But it was said that people on a cruise ship, elderly people, don't come to a Sitka to see other elderly people dancing.
That's right.
So, but it's quite enough. The people who are dancing must be very athletic.
Oh,
yeah.
And strong.
And well, first of all, you have to try out, and secondly, you have to be able to get into the uniforms,
the costumes, that
we have. And I had an issue with when you get to be 50. That was something that the board decided while I was out of town. I was on the State Board of Education for 5 years, and I was traveling around the state a great deal. And I had to miss a lot of practices. And so when I came back, I was informed that, they had decided that 50 was the breaking point. And it was not a big problem because I had some other friends and we had a singing group. So, I kind of turned my exercise into that. So, it wasn't a real hard thing to do. Now they're accepting people under the age of, well, they're going 19 and 20 and 18. And actually that's good because they'll be able to dance longer.
Yeah, right. Our age was 20. You had to be 21 before you.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's because we went to, there were cocktail parties and dinner parties and things that Alaska Airlines took us to, and they couldn't very well, put a 19-year-old kid under there.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned Alaska Airlines would sponsor your trips to different destinations. Were you ever involved with the Love Boat and filming on the Love Boat?
Well, we did. There was a magazine that used to come out, a little magazine about, I'd say 8x6 or something like that. And there was a picture of us. I have it someplace, a picture of us down at the dock welcoming the Love Boat, supposedly. And they had the people in costume who were on that program, the Love Boat, down at the dock, and we got to dance on the dock.
Okay, fun.
And it was only half of a dance. It wasn't very much, but it was fun.
Right. And it took about 2 hours. And if you look at the amount of time we were on, it was maybe 15 seconds.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But fun experience and fun remembrance.
We have memories. Yep.
Lots of good memories, yes.
Yes.
Lots of good friends out of it, because people that we probably wouldn't have met or gotten close to, it was different. It was people that, we'd invite into our homes. Jack spent 3 days at my house just recently.
Yeah. And would you say that the influence of dance and dance lessons as youngsters or living through the 50s could have played an important part in nudging women to try out?
Well, the dancing that I took was a teacher that had a studio in downtown Seattle. And it was ballet and acrobatics and tap. And mainly it was the rhythm and learning how to make your body move the way it's supposed to for those kinds of things. And so I don't know that helped. I don't really know. I mean, I just enjoyed it. I just had a good time. And I enjoyed the announcing too, because I felt like I was one with the audience. At least I tried to be.
Yes. Well, it takes a welcoming person to do that, I think, and to show enthusiasm for what you're doing and for the activities that you are announcing.
So, Ernie, if there's one thing that a pleasant memory of the 50s that comes to mind, what might that be? Can you just distill it down to one pleasant memory?
Well, let's see. I graduated from high school in 1953. That was kind of fun. Let's see. 53. Or the 50s. I can't boil it down to one thing, because there were just so many things. I had a lot of activities. I had a lot of friends, and it was just,
Your personality shows that you would have had a lot of friends, and I bet you still do too. You're a joy to be with. Ernie, thank you.
Sure.
We are so grateful that you chose to chat with us. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And Becky, how can you close our show?
Oh, well, thank you, viewers, for joining us. And if you've not joined us many times before, well, please consider looking back on our website and also joining us next week. And if you must, maybe tell your friends and even your relatives about our 1950s Fun Chat. So till next time, toodaloo. Bye-bye.